currency and exchange rates,
Okay.
especially in what happened at the CDF, at the China Development Forum.
I think the important things to note on currency and exchange rate are, number one, the speech by Zhou Xiaochuan, the governor of the central bank, at the China Development Forum in Beijing last week. He announced publicly that they hope to achieve essentially current account convertibility by the end of this year. That is a shockingly near target. I had not thought that to be possible. But the fact that they are publicly talking about that means that the financial sector reforms have been put in overdrive. And that makes it much less likely, in my opinion, that they will play around with the exchange rate. They will try to protect the nominal dollar renminbi exchange rate, partly for political prestige reasons, partly because if they were to devalue, that would jeopardize their structural reform objectives and their renminbi internationalization objectives. Another reason why I do not expect any major devaluation moves is that they now know that the corporate sector has begun to borrow a lot in US dollars in the last 18 months or so. I've seen various estimates of that, and the maturity structure I know nothing about, but the gross amount of external corporate debt is close to $1 trillion. Now, since the central bank knows that, they will not risk, I think, severe liquidity problems, will not wish to risk severe liquidity problems in that part of the corporate sector by devaluing the currency, which would only be aimed at helping the exporters. So on balance, I expect that they will do their damnedest to prevent any significant devaluation. If anything, if they can do it, continue to move towards appreciation.
I'm helping to run a global macro shop called Iron Harbor. I see China as a very important contributor to global growth, obviously commodity demand and sort of global credit, and as a result, having a big impact on global inflation, kind of risk premium in general. I studied at CEBS for a term in Shanghai and studied some about the China economy there, and I worked and lived in Korea and studied sort of East Asia economies in general. At present, I trade China and the rest of Asia in a global book covering equities, real assets, primarily liquid commodity futures, but with some eye toward liquid real estate vehicles as well, and then fixed income in various currencies around the world. So I'm interested in the China impact on all of those, and certainly some of the other aspects you guys have touched on in terms of politics, environment, and its impact on growth plans, national prestige, et cetera. I guess a general dissent I have with the conventional wisdom that most people put out regarding China is just whether consumption can really be a growth driver. I would link consumption just to borrowing in general, and I'm not sure that you can have a stable currency and borrow a lot more to propel economic activity in China. And then, the point of reaching out to non-denominated debt markets is also interesting to me in terms of maybe just showing how far we might be at the end of our rope in terms of trying to sustain growth rates, sort of anywhere near what we've gotten used to, as opposed to maybe a more feasible four handle type of growth. Yeah, I guess that's a quick briefing on.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris.